by talking about the good news of which trips we've had to cancel that we're disappointed with this year. So, have you canceled any trips, Craig? And if you have, what were you really disappointed about?
Well, first let me say, I'm not sure if we're live yet. It's
Okay.
trying, it's working on it, but I think
Okay.
we might be. We'll see in a second.
Yep.
Anyway,
It says it's live on my side.
okay, great.
I thought we were on.
That's good to know. All right. Well, anyway, what were you asking me again? Something
So
about
yeah,
the.
so did you have to cancel any trips because of the pandemic here? And if you did, like, what were you really disappointed about having to cancel?
Yeah. So my wife and I had plans to go to Liechtenstein, and which is a tiny little country with next to Switzerland, below Germany, and we were going to hike the entire country. They have something they opened about a year ago called the Liechtenstein Trail, and it literally goes through every town in the whole country. We were going to hike in about 5 days, and each night stay in a different inn. Very much like our Southwest Coast Path trip we did in England, which I posted a video about
Right,
a
I
couple
saw
days
that.
ago. So
Yeah.
if anyone watching hasn't seen that, put that on your to-do list to go to our YouTube channel and find that. But anyway, we were so looking forward to that. We love the
Yeah.
England trip, and we know this would have been probably just as good, if not better. So
Yeah,
yeah,
really
that was
unique.
that was a bummer.
Yeah,
How
that is.
about you? I mean, that was just one of a number of trips I had to cancel, but
Yeah, I know you had like a busy year of travel lined up. I feel like it
I
was
did.
it was sounding like the most travel in all the time I've worked at Frequent Miler. I think like this year seemed like it was going to be a big year for you.
It probably was. I don't know if it'd be the most ever, but we had a
Right.
lot scheduled. Yeah, we were going
Yeah.
back to England, we were going to Ireland, we were going to Vancouver and to Montreal, and I can't even remember all the things right now because
And now you're just going places virtually on the YouTube channel.
that's right.
Well, there are worse things, I guess. So yeah. For me, really, I didn't have anything solidly planned this year. So no, the we were talking about going to Europe this spring, but that was still kind of up in the air and not really planned when everything started to happen. So I don't think I had to cancel any flights at all. Just
Wow.
just lucky how it worked out. I mean, I don't think I've had a year where I didn't have stuff planned in forever. So I guess lucky for me, but I know not as fortunate for a lot of folks that had stuff planned. Although at least the nice thing about booking with miles and points is that often, not all the time with all the airlines, but often with at least the foreign programs, it can be pretty cheap to cancel. So hopefully you were able to cancel most of your stuff pretty cheaply or even free, right?
Yeah, everything was canceled for free except one thing I'm still waiting. So there's one flight, return flight from Switzerland, which was booked with Avianca Life Miles. And to my knowledge, they haven't waived airline, award redeposit fees yet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't really know, even if they do, how hard that's going to be to make that happen. So I'm kind of dreading having to deal with that. But yeah.
Well, here's the true story for me. So Greg knows this, but not everybody else does, I guess. So we were already planning this year on having a second baby if the stars aligned. And so we're expecting in September. So we knew that was the situation back in January. So we didn't have very much travel planned. And that's half the reason why, because we were hoping to have a baby this year. And sure enough, we were
So
fortunate enough that
wait a minute. Is this
it
your first
happened.
public announcement of your new baby?
First acknowledgement on Frequent Miler, anyway. The first time that the Frequent Miler audience is hearing.
So
Yeah,
congratulations
thank you,
officially. I know I've
thank
told you
you,
privately a number of times, but we all
thank you.
can't wait to see baby St. Regis appear. So
Well, baby Regis is a few months more away. So anyway, that was a big contributing factor for me. It just turned out that we said, oh well, we're not going to travel very much this year because we're hoping to have a baby. And so then once sure enough, we knew that we had one on the way, then we were talking about maybe one more trip beforehand, and then pretty quickly determined maybe not.
maybe not, right?
So
Right.
it'll be a
Okay,
bit before we get back to it.
so this is supposed to be a ask us anything. We're supposed to take
Right.
questions from our audience, but first, we don't know actually how many people are live right now, but I want to ask the audience a question.
Oh, very good.
And Carrie will tell us the overriding answer, the overwhelming answer. And the question is, I'm personally finding it's fun seeing your hat there, but it's distracting because it's disappearing and reappearing.
Is it? Yeah. Well, I think
so
that's
I
what
just want people to answer hat yes or no. No
hat,
means
yes or no.
he should get rid of the hat for the rest of this call.
Right.
Yes means keep it. So answer in the comments yes or no.
Okay. So I get at least one that's agreeing that it's I know it is disappearing. My face is disappearing.
No, we know it's disappearing. We just want people to vote. Should he
keep
vote? Should he keep the hat?
Hat or no hat? Come on, take a stand here, people.
Right.
Take a stand.
In the meantime, while Carrie's busy tallying the thousands of votes,
yeah, right.
We do have a question that was asked beforehand. We have a few, but we're gonna tackle one of them, and that is from Reed, who asked about whether to renew the Chase United Explorer card. He says, I got it mostly to get access to additional award seats when booking, but I also use the lounge passes. Since I'm now Premier Silver due to Marriott status, I think I get the same access to award seats as the card holders, which reduces the incentive to renew the card. Any thoughts?
Well, I mean, my first thought is that my hat is still disappearing. So the votes aren't even tallied yet, but I'm going to get rid of it because I see it disappearing. All right. So my second thought then is, yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's a particularly good reason to keep that card right now. I mean, it covers checked bag fees and you're not flying anywhere right now, and gives you a lounge pass to all the closed United lounges. And, so there's just really not much benefit. If you are United Silver, yeah, you already get access to the expanded availability. So I don't think it's worth keeping right now, although rather than closing it and getting rid of it in case you aren't going to have United Silver status forever, you want to downgrade that to the no fee Chase United card, which I don't even know what the name of it is, but if you call in and ask to downgrade to the no fee card, you only earn like 1 mile for every $2 spent on that card. It's kind of a ridiculous card to ever use, but it's a good card to hold because it's got no annual fee and you still get access to the expanded award availability. So that's the one you want to have.
Absolutely. I recommend that card anyway. I think unless the lounge passes are important to you and the free check bags, which are not important to you because of your silver status,
right?
It seems to me make sure to downgrade to that free one, and then you get most of the benefits anyway that you care about.
Right.
So we're hearing from Carrie that people are voting yes, which is to keep the hat, even though
they don't like my haircut. They don't like my haircut. Is that what they're telling me? It's a quarantine cut here. Come on now.
So now your ears are disappearing. So I think you need to decide: either put the hat back on and we'll just deal with it, or turn off your background and put the hat back on. Let you make the choice between those two options. All
right, I'm going to leave it off and just say got to deal with the background there.
Really? So you're not even going to pick either of the two options I gave you?
Oh, well, what were the two options again?
The options were put back the hat because people voted for it.
People voted for it. The people are asking for it.
Or turn off your background and then do whatever you want.
If I hadn't thrown the hat, it would be easier to grab.
All right. Well, too bad then.
We'll go earless. See if I can get the ears.
All right. Well, so I guess we're ready for the next question from the audience, and there it is. Do you want to ask this one?
Yeah. So question number 2. There we go. Is there a reason to buy airfare on the Chase Ritz over the CSR? Is there a reason to use the Ritz instead of the CSR when you're booking airfare? And I assume that's in terms of the travel insurance protections. What would you say?
Right. Well, the travel insurance protections on those two cards are exactly the same. They're both excellent. They both handle all kinds of things that other cards don't, and they offer a 6-hour trip delay, where most cards are 12-hour. Even most ultra premium cards are 12-hour. But in general, I would say I'd much rather get 3x ultimate rewards points, which the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which is the CSR, offers you over. I don't even know what the Ritz for. I think might be 4 points for travel with the Ritz. I would take 3 ultimate rewards over 4 Ritz Marriott points, which is what it's giving you personally. Now, the only reason I can think of to use the Ritz, there's actually nope. Let me back up. There's 2 reasons I can think of.
All right.
One is if you're planning to get rid of the Sapphire Reserve card altogether, you're not planning to downgrade it, but get rid of it altogether, and you think you might cancel that flight and be reimbursed back to your card, it might be a hassle to get your money back if you don't have that account anymore. I mean, in general, I recommend just downgrading to a Freedom. So I don't know how important that thing is. The other reason is, depending on the cost of the airfare, if it's low cost airfare, you might be able to secure message chase if you paid with a Ritz card and say, this was a seat upgrade, and can you reimburse it with my $300 of reimbursable airline fees each year? And I've known that to work. So that's a reason.
Or, I mean, similar, if you're booking flights on cheap carriers, on low-cost carriers like, Spirit or Ryanair or whatever, things like that. I've quite a few times in the last few years used my Ritz credits to pay for the bags and the seat selection and the vast majority of the ticket price for those cheap low-cost carriers, and gotten reimbursed without an issue from Chase on those. So I'll definitely use the Ritz card in those situations. So here I'm going to differ from Greg a little bit, and I'm going to say, no, there's not a reason to book on the Ritz, but here's what I do in my household. I like to know, and in fact, this came up in a question earlier on the blog today, I like to remember which card I used for booking airfare. I don't want to have to, if I get in a situation where I'm delayed and I need to take advantage of the trip delay benefits, where I've got to try to go back through my emails and figure out which card did I use to pay for this flight. So instead, I just keep it the same. And when I'm booking a flight that is only me, where I'm the only passenger, then I use my Ritz card. And if my wife and son are with me, then I use the CSR. And that way I always know which card it was, because honestly, I don't spend all that much money on airfare anyway. So while yes, the 3 Ultimate Rewards points are definitely more valuable to me than 4 Marriott points, we're talking about such a small number of points over the general overall scheme of things for me, because I don't spend that much money on paid flights or on award taxes, that I do it that way. Just keep it standardized. Keep it simple.
Makes sense.
So. Yep. So, all right, good. So question number 3 then. We got another question here. We're going to move forward, unless you had something else to add on that.
No, I don't. So Jerry is asking, do you guys see Bora Bora stays at Conrad or similar properties at significant discounts in 2020, 2021? So I think Jerry's asking, do we predict that there'll be significant discounts? But he could mean, have we looked to see what the prices are now for future travel? I'm not sure which one he's asking, but
I'll answer whichever one you want. What do you think?
Well, why don't you, if you've actually looked at prices,
I haven't.
Answer that.
I haven't. It's been on my to-do list. No,
if you haven't, I think we just have to first say that our ability to predict things this year as a group has been bad.
Pretty poor. Pretty poor. We should keep the day job writing about the miles and points, and give up our dreams of being Miss Cleo.
So your best bet is take whatever we say and decide the opposite, and that'll probably be right.
Most likely. I mean, you'd definitely be well ahead if you were betting against us this year so far. So, I mean, my prediction would be, it seems like there probably would be big discounts, because obviously not many people are traveling, and it's going to take a while for people to become comfortable with it again. So I would think we'd see some discounts. And really, I think that the key opportunity right now is to look for those cheap advanced purchase prices, if you can find them, either through Hilton or through Marriott, because they're both offering cancellation for up to 24 hours before you arrive, as long as you book by June 30th. So book something for next summer at the cheapest advanced purchase rate you can find. It's been on my mind that I've wanted to spend an afternoon just searching high-end places around the world to find great cheap prepaid rates, or cheap rates in general, that we can book now and have flexibility with, but I haven't done it yet. So what about you? Any research there?
So I'll say not so much research for the blog, but for personal travel, I've actually looked at a few places that are in the US, and that is not bearing out the couple places I've looked at. And that makes sense though, because I think people are saying, and this is true in my own home, as soon as the stay-at-home order is lifted, where can we go that we can basically drive to and just feel like we got away? And so I think there might be more demand than usual at some of these places domestically than usual. And so anyway, one place I looked at, which in the past I've seen rooms for, let's say $350 a night. It's a very highly sought after place, but the time I need to go, $550 a night they're asking, and they're requiring a 3-night stay to book it.
Wow.
And I only wanted 2 anyway, so I wasn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I wasn't going to stay there at that rate. But.
Yeah. So I mean, it's hard to say, but the question was specifically about Bora Bora and places like that. And I think that international destinations like that typically see most of their tourism from foreign places. I think that probably we'll see cheap stuff. Although Greg's point isn't a bad one, that there are going to be some people that are just dying to get away and willing to pay whatever the price is for a little bit. So overall, though, I guess they're going to have to be cheap, but hopefully.
Yeah, no, I strongly believe that too. I think places you have to fly to that, the places that don't get much local tourism are going to be hurting bad, and they're going to be dropping prices like crazy if they haven't already.
You would think. Yeah, and you would think that the places that are popular with locals, just like Greg said, are going to be expensive because everybody's going to be looking to get away, and everyone's going to be a little timid about getting on a plane and flying halfway across the world to do it. So, if you're looking to go to some small, unique, local sort of a place, maybe 2021 isn't going to be the ideal time. But if you want to get to one of those exotic places where everybody flies in, then hopefully it'll be cheap. I hope. All right, question number 4. And this one comes from, I can't see who it comes from, but any route suggestions using ANA around the world to the Maldives, or the best way to get there using points? I read some articles, wasn't sure which one is better, ANA around the world or Cathay Pacific.
Well, I mean, Nick wrote a great post about ANA around the world awards. They're about as cheap as you're going to get for business class around the world. I don't think you can get even close with Cathay. And the problem with Cathay Pacific's awards, even if they have good pricing for around the world, which I don't actually know off the top of my head if they do or not, is that it's going to be very hard to avoid British Airways on part of the route. If you can avoid them, that's fine. But if you can't avoid them and you're talking business or first class, you're gonna be in trouble with fuel surcharges. But ANA's on Star Alliance, and there's just a lot more carriers that you can choose from that either charge no or low fuel surcharges. So I would definitely be looking at ANA. But what about, do you have recommendations for routes? I think
I put together a route when I wrote a post about getting to the Maldives on 2 credit cards. I put together a realistic route, and what I did was I used flightconnections.com. That's a tool that Greg wrote about last year, and I ignored for a while until finally I started using it, and then it's become really, really useful, just like he said it was. And so flightconnections.com allows you to put in an airport code, and then you can search for direct flights from that airport. You can pick which alliance you want to look at, or which airline specifically, if you want one particular airline. And so the nice thing there was that I was able to pick a starting airport and then say, okay, I want to look at the Star Alliance flights from this airport. And then from there, I could take a look and think, okay, well, which ones had no fuel surcharges or low fuel surcharges in general, and kind of plan out a route that I think would turn out to be pretty realistically priced. And I think the example route I gave in the post, I want to say it was 115,000 miles in business class. I'm almost positive about that. And it was Newark to Amsterdam to Athens to Istanbul to the Maldives to Sri Lanka to Bangkok to Beijing and back to New York. And so that would have been 115,000. If I remember correctly anyway. So you'd have to check out the post. If you look at, just kind of Google frequent miler Maldives 2 credit cards, it gives an example route. Now, in terms of finding the availability, go to united.com and search for availability. You can also search for availability on individual legs with ANA's tool. I think it's actually a little bit more reliable than United, but it's also kind of designed like a Nintendo game from the 1980s. So the site is kind of old and clunky and a little bit of a pain to use. So you can use United to find availability, and then you're going to have to book it over the phone. So, I mean, I think those would be the best tips I have. You got anything to add to that?
I have an idea that I'm not 100% sure would work, but so that ANA is an awesome option for business class around the world. Let's say you wanted to fly first class around the world. I think I read in God Save the Points, but I need to go back and check this. I think I read that with Virgin Atlantic, you know how with Virgin Atlantic you can book ANA round trip to Tokyo for first class for 120,000 miles.
Right.
Or 110,000
Right.
from the West Coast, but
Right.
it's the same price, if I remember right, 120K from London to Tokyo. And I think
Right.
I read on his site that that they'll count it as round trip if you fly, for example, New York to Tokyo and then return Tokyo to London. I think.
Interesting.
So they also have a flight, ANA also has a flight on their new product. Both of those are new product, what I just said, but they also have a flight on new product to Frankfurt. So I don't know whether Frankfurt would count as an alternative to going to London, but let's just say London to keep it simple.
Right.
So I was thinking you could build a round the world first class trip, and almost round the world,
Right.
by using that as like the starting point, right? Like, so this is how you get from the US to Japan. So you get to Asia that way, then use other miles or some other way to get around Asia. This is where you'd have to fill in with your knowledge.
Maybe the United Excursionist perk or something.
Maybe. And then later you have to get back to Japan to fly to London, and then you fly around Europe or maybe down to South Africa from London, because there's a number of flights to go that way. It's worth considering. It's worth considering.
Maybe. I mean, the thing is, like you said, you have to piece together so many other things in order to make that, like, of course you'd be going around the world, but if you don't build in anything else in Asia or anything else going from Europe to Africa, then it doesn't really feel like around the world, circumnavigated, but you haven't seen much. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's an interesting idea. It's certainly a lot of time in the sky in first class, and those new ANA products, both first and business, look terrific. So
yeah, it would be very easy to hop on Etihad first apartments from London. So wherever you want to go from there onward, you could build a really awesome trip with some American Airlines miles and some Virgin Atlantic miles.
True. All right. Game, set, match there. So question number 5 then comes from No Man, and before I answer that, I see that Travel Fanboy is out there now, and welcome Travel Fanboy. Travel Fanboy is a fan of my hat. He will tell you that it's not cool, but I think there's a tinge of jealousy there. I think he likes it.
I think so. Bit. Yeah,
he does, because he's asking where it went, and so people told me to get rid of it. A couple of people did, and then more people told me to get it back, but it's too far away for me to get it back now, because it was like making things look a little funky.
Travel Fanboy's gonna have to rewatch this from the beginning when we're
back
done.
To the beginning. Back to the beginning. There you go. So No Man asks us, do you know if the new 3X groceries and dining bonus categories on the City Premier is just for US spend or overseas purchases as well?
Yeah, we've gotten that question a few times since we published the changes to the Premier card. So just as a reminder, the news just broke yesterday about this. The Premier card, City Premier card, is changing up where they're adding grocery and dining as 3X categories. Dining before was 2X, grocery wasn't a category before. So they're clearly going after rewarding more of the sort of everyday real spend that people do, which for a lot of us is really great. But they're taking away the 1.25 travel redemption. So the where the value of the points is worth 1.25 cents each. If you book travel through the Thank You portal, they're taking that away. Anyway, so the question is about the grocery. Will that be available outside the US? And I think the question comes from because the Amex card, the Amex Gold card, only gives 4X for US based grocery stores. And correct me if I'm wrong, we don't know. I mean, we don't have an official answer about that. But at the same time, we've never known Citi to limit any of their multipliers to the US, unlike Amex. So I have no reason to even suspect that they'll limit it to the United States. I would be very, very surprised if they do.
Yeah,
So I'd say the answer is yes.
Almost surely yes. Yeah, I mean, dining and gas, those are worldwide. I can't imagine that they would limit just this one. I can't imagine that there's enough international grocery spend that they would feel like they need to limit that.
Right. Right.
So
You know,
I assume that it will. Nobody will know until August, August 23rd, the new benefits begin. And then, of course, not until anybody gets their statement will anyone know for sure whether or not it's coding as 3X for international groceries, but I imagine it will. So that should be good. And if you're interested in that card, you might want to check out the post that we published this morning, because it talks about why today is the day to really consider getting it if you're interested in the Premier, so that you can get grandfathered in, so to speak. Theoretically, we hope anyway, based on the information that we've seen so far, get grandfathered into the old benefits in terms of the old earning structure and the 1.25 cents per point, while also getting the new 3X groceries come August. So you'll only be grandfathered in for a year on the old benefits, but still that gives you a year to take advantage. So
I have to say, I really loved your post this morning where you wrote about how you're planning to dump the Prestige card now that you can get 3X at groceries with the Premier, and retain the ability to transfer to transfer partners.
Right.
So, what I really enjoyed about your post was that you reused effectively my graphics showing the Prestige card going in the garbage.
Right.
And you pointed out that I actually got a not really a prediction, but a statement correct a week or two ago, where I said that people should sign up for the Premier card now. So,
and apparently that was a good piece of advice. So,
so there you go. Piece of advice.
Who knew?
Two good reasons for me to like your post.
Very good. That's what I was going for.
Well written too.
I was aiming for points with the boss. So mission accomplished on that one. So yeah, I mean, it was a good prediction. I think it was a good prediction from us. And now's the time for the Premier. And I don't know. Do you think though that with introducing the new benefits, do you think that they're going to introduce a new welcome bonus come August when the new benefits launch?
What good is my prediction? I already used up my one good prediction for the year.
Right. So be careful. We shouldn't even bother with that. Let's not even go there. We won't even go there.
I mean, I don't think it's likely, but that's for what that's worth.
Right. I think we missed a follow-up question before on Asia Miles. So correct me if I'm wrong. The stopover can be over 24 hours, unlike Asia Miles. We're talking about the stopover on I'm not sure now.
Which.
Which. ANA, yeah, of course. It's around the world, so you can have 8 stops, I think, in 12 segments, if I remember correctly. If you're talking about the using Virgin Atlantic for ANA first class, like Greg was talking about, that'd be a round trip. So you wouldn't really get a stopover per se. You'd like hit your destination. So Tokyo would be your destination. So yes, you could stop there.
And then if you're building other jaunts out from there, you can stop over as long as you want because you're designing yourself.
Right.
Okay. So Jay Reswell, I'm not sure how to say that name, but
I think so.
Are you still going out for deals during COVID? If not, or if so, what deals would make you go out? Stay healthy and keep up the great work. So what about it? Are you going out for deals?
Definitely not. No. In fact, I went to the grocery store for a big grocery trip on Monday to buy enough groceries that I shouldn't have to leave the house again. I'm hoping for at least the next 2, but hopefully really more like the next 3 to 4 weeks. So no, I'm just hunkering down at home. I live in the middle of nowhere, so there's a lot of space. You can't see another house from my house. So it's a good place to be in terms of if I have to be isolated. I'm pretty isolated naturally here. So no, there's nothing that I'm going to go out to the store for. I mean, I live in New York State, so there have been a lot of cases in New York State, obviously New York City, but also in upstate New York, there's been a growing number of cases. So I've got no interest in going out. I don't think that there's any deal that would get me out of the house. What about you?
No, the same exact thing here. And so for example, I was really excited about that Dosh deal that came up where we could order from Staples the $300 Visa gift cards at less than cost. It was like fee free, but better than fee free because it would save a couple dollars over it. Because what I was going to do is when the $300 visas arrive, my plan was actually simply to load them into Amazon because I've been spending so much on Amazon. I could use some gift cards that are essentially bought at 5x, so getting a better multiplier on my Amazon purchases plus 1% or so off. but now the Dosh deal kind of blew up, and I had to submit a sport ticket because they took away our pending cash back from that. So if you did that deal, go back to the post that Nick wrote. He's posted a screenshot of how the deal looked before when it didn't have a gift card exclusion, and use that to submit a support ticket. I submitted one at first without an upload just to see what would happen, but it's probably good to have that uploaded as well.
Yeah, definitely, because the terms didn't exclude gift cards to begin with, and so they did add that when they changed it to 3%, but when it was at 5%, it wasn't in the terms. So yeah, I actually didn't order any of those because I'm sitting on a large number of gift cards right now from Simon, and so I really didn't need to get any more gift cards without any going out to liquidate them for a while. So I skipped out on that, and I was very bummed to miss out on the 5X opportunity, but as it turns out, it seems it might end up being a little bit of a headache anyway.
Yeah, I mean, again, if I could get 5X fee free for a Visa gift card, I'm gonna, and even if I don't have any way to liquidate it, which is the case here, I'm going to use it for regular spend, and that's what I was going to do, is use it for regular Amazon spend or other spend.
That makes sense.
So we have a question, it looks like, for Nick.
Oh.
Carlos says he just posted a question on your Turkish Airlines business class sweet spot article. How can I find the cheap biz prices without searching day by day?
Okay. All right.
And by the way, Carlos, your buddy Carrie says hi.
Very good. Very good. So when you talk about the Turkish Airlines business class sweet spot article, I assume that you're talking about the business class sweet spot to Europe, because it's 45K each way in business class for Star Alliance to Europe, and also I think like 47K to the Middle East and 49K to parts of Africa. So really great prices on Turkish Airlines business class. Well, I say Turkish Airlines, on Star Alliance business class rather, partner business class. So if the question is how do you find the cheap prices without searching day by day, well, you just need to find Saver award availability, right? So you're going to go to united.com and look for award availability. Now, if you're looking for it on United, it's going to have to say Saver for it to be something that can be booked by partners rather. So it'll say Saver award right above it. But any partner availability you see on united.com, so any availability on, say, Brussels Airlines or on, Lot Polish or Brussels Airlines is a bad example because the fuel surcharges are going to be high, but Lot Polish, United, help me out here, Greg. Who else has the low fuel surcharges to Europe?
Oh gosh, I don't remember off the top of my head, but
Air Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. Check it. Nick's post. Check
the post. The post says, yeah, it says which airlines have the low fuel surcharges. So you want to specifically just take a look for those ones. Now, how do you automatically find the cheap ones? Well, you look at which airlines have low fuel surcharges and you search their direct routes and check the box that says nonstop on United. And you're still going to have to go day by day to some extent to see which nonstops are available. Is it the nonstop on United or the nonstop on Lot Polish or the nonstop on whichever airline it is that you're looking at? But
to find award availability in general, you could go to United has two different calendar views of the search results. One, when you do an initial search, it shows about a week of results above that day's results, and there's a little link to say show calendar view or something like that, and then you've got to switch it back to business class that you want because it likes to default to economy.
You can do that right from the homepage too. You just have to check the box that says calendar search.
Right. You said right. So there's two different views though. If you start from the first page, it shows the view that has the lines and dots, and the dots mean there's Saver, either business or first class. But if you do the way I was talking about, you get a month that shows the prices of each month. So it's a little bit different, and so it just depends how you get to it. If you see the prices, you're looking for either 70K, which would be a partner, or I think it's 60K or something like that for United. I can't remember, but something like that.
Yep. So it's just going to take some trial and error there. So, all right. Question number 8, Jerry. I accepted a retention offer on the Prestige card. $250 statement credit for $5,000 spend. I already used my travel credit this year. Does it make sense to renew at $495 in July to retain my thank you points?
No. All right, moving on.
Simple answer there. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty much the right answer.
I mean, let me say that, whether you accepted, since you already got the retention offer, that's sort of immaterial to whether it's worth you spending $495 in July, unless you're feeling sort of obligated to Citi to return the favor or something. But in July, you should be making the determination, are the card's benefits worth $495 to you? And so even if you value the $250 statement credit at full value, you're still looking at $245 that you have to justify. And what you could do instead is product change your Prestige card to the Premier card if you don't want to, if you don't already have it, and if you don't want to, or you're not eligible for a sign-up bonus for it, or to the Thank You Preferred card, which is just sort of a way of keeping your points without having to have an annual fee at all, or better yet, to the Rewards Plus card, which is also a fee-free thank you card, and you'll retain your points with no fee. So I think for most people, the right answer is just product change to one of those 3 cards. The right answer is not to product change to the fee-free double cash card, because the double cash card is not a thank you card, even though you could transfer its rewards to thank you points. It's not a thank you card. It won't preserve your points. But yeah, transfer to one of those 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the right answer. I just can't see very many scenarios where the Prestige is worth. I mean, even if you value the airline credit or the travel credit at full value, it's hard to imagine too many situations where the card is really worth $245. And now that they've upped the ante on the Premier card is one that's worthwhile. But like I said, if not, the fee-free card's definitely the way to go. I just can't see it, especially in a year where now you're looking at probably not using very many of the benefits in terms of like the priority pass lounge access. You're not going to be using probably for the next couple of months at least, and then a lot of those little ancillary benefits. There's just not that much use. And Citi got rid of all the travel protections and everything else. It's nuts.
And if you ever change your mind, I think they'll let you just change back.
Upgrade back,
there's not much risk there.
I have one question for anybody out there listening, and Carrie will let me know what people answer. Has anybody called to product change today? And if you have, were you able to successfully do it? Because I'm not really sure how many phone agents they have working or what kind of hold times it is. I haven't had a chance to call yet today, but I'm just kind of curious if anybody has actually done it today. That's
a good question. Also, sort of similar question. Someone wrote recently that secure messaging came back to Citibank. I haven't logged in to look for that, but has anyone had luck secure messaging a product change?
For product change, yeah. Yeah, that would be good to know, because it used to be possible through Chase. It used to be easy to product change through secure message, and then they took that away. And I wonder if that won't come back with how overwhelmed they seem to be with phone calls.
Right. All right. Ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So the question is, what aspirational flights do you still want to take after this is all over? Are you afraid some of them, like on the A380 or 747, will be gone or scarcer?
All right. Well, so which aspirational flights do I still want to take after this is all over? I mean, A380 flights, I think I've flown the ones that really matter to me. Or I shouldn't even say matter. I don't know necessarily know that any of them matter all that much, but the ones that I think I was excited about. So, yeah, I mean, I think Greg said last week that he figures that first class may go away on some airlines, certainly in the short term and maybe in the long term, because we've obviously seen that trend going over the last few years. So yeah, I think availability, or I think some of those flights might be gone. But in terms of what do I still want to take? I mean, I want to get on those new ANA flights, the new ANA flights, and Qatar Q suites. I mean, those are the 2 things that I haven't flown that I'd be particularly interested in flying. Although I generally tend to plan my travel more based on where I want to go than which flights I want to take. So I'm not usually one to plan trips around specific planes or airlines. What about you?
Yeah, I same answer. I usually plan around where I want to go, and then I'm usually looking for what's the most direct yet comfortable way to get there. And so as long as I'm lie flat, if it's an overnight flight, I'm pretty happy, and it doesn't really matter if it's Q Suites or Delta, you know.
Yeah.
But if I was going to say which ones am I hoping to get on, ANA is the top of my list. I would love to be able to try out Emirates' new suite.
All right.
I haven't
Looks
even
pretty
done their
nice.
old suite, to be honest, but
Yeah.
the new one looks so amazing. I would love to
It
try
does.
that. And both British Airways and Virgin Atlantic have nice looking new business class products. I would like to try either one of those, but again, I'm not going to really go out of my way to do it. It's more like if the opportunity presents itself, I would certainly love to do that.
Yeah, I mean, Singapore's new suites looks awesome too, I guess. I didn't think about that off the top of my head. And I haven't flown into had apartments. So, I mean, I guess there's a lot of stuff that I haven't flown that I would be cool with flying again. I guess we're just going to have to see what's around when this is all over. I definitely think, though, that some of that stuff is going to be reduced. I mean, it's got to be, right? Because there's not going to be much demand for all of that for a while, right?
Right. Yeah. Maybe Norwegian will end up flying all those airplanes with those classy suites.
Never know. You never know. All right. So that's as best we can answer that one, hon, I think. So let's see. Question number 10. Next up here from, is it Out as Fly Guy? Besides Alaska miles, what program do you recommend to book business class from the USA to Thailand, which include a stopover?
Which include a stopover. So I don't know. You're gonna have to help me.
All right. So Singapore would allow you to do a stopover. You can do a stopover in Singapore, and I think you can add even additional stopovers for $100 a pop, right, on an international itinerary. At least that's the way it used to be. I'm actually not sure if they've changed that at some point, but it used to be you could add additional stops for $100 each. So that would be one to consider, Singapore, which of course is going to cost you a little bit because their award rates aren't particularly competitive, but that's a possibility for stopovers. I believe Lufthansa Miles and More allows stopovers, because I remember writing about that when I was writing about the fact that the card looked kind of interesting. So I do believe you could have a stopover, but I can't remember the details. If you were to Google or go to Frequent Miler and just look up the Lufthansa Miles and More 75K offer, I wrote about it in there because I did a little bit of research on that.
I'm pretty sure you're right about that. I remember that. ANA has stopovers, don't they?
They do, yeah. ANA does.
Sorry, I'm thinking Aeroplan, but ANA also.
ANA does, yeah.
Both of them do, I think.
Yeah. I did an itinerary on ANA with a stopover, so I definitely know they do. And yeah, Aeroplan used to offer two, but now I think just the one stopover, right?
Okay, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
then of course there's United's excursionist perks, which are sort of like a stopover.
Right. Yeah, you could build in one of those and follow some of Greg's stuff. And actually, if you're going to travel to Japan, also you want to pair Japan with going to Thailand, then you could use Greg's stopover tricks about flying around Japan for 5K in order to build yourself a few free flights.
In order to generate the free excursionist flight for elsewhere. Yeah.
Right. Well, which it would have to be within a single region, but Japan is its own region, right?
It is.
The UI chart. So
Japan's a great place to. If you don't know what we're talking about, just Google Frequent Miler excursionist perk and see what I wrote there, because there's some really cool, interesting things you could do with it. I don't know how practical it is for most people, but for those that like to build awards and think of it like a puzzle to solve and to eke out the most value, it can be fun to first try to wrap your head around what these things are, these excursionist perks, and then figure out how to make the most of it.
Well, and if you want to fly to Asia with a stopover, the Star Alliance programs are probably the ones to look at, because you've got so many different options. From the United States, you got United, of course. You have Air Canada flies to Asia, and you can fly on them. You got EVA, you have ANA, of course, Air China. I'm sure I'm missing a couple that came to mind a second ago and now went back out of my mind. But you got a lot of Singapore, of course. You got a lot of different options on Star Alliance to Asia. So a lot of different places you could build a stopover.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So now we're given a choice of two questions to ask. So I'm going to pick one.
Okay, you get to pick one, and I'll let you read those and think about it for a second.
All right.
I haven't even looked, so I'm not going to look at them. It's just going to be right off the cuff here.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So I kind of lost my place. Okay. As a long-term holder of the Chase Sapphire Reserve and Ritz-Carlton cards, is there an exit strategy if you're turned off by the $550 Sapphire Reserve annual fee and the constant Marriott devaluations leave a bad taste in your mouth? I value spending $75K for platinum. So on the Ritz card, you could spend $75,000 and get platinum status. Food with priority pass, i.e. not Amex. Only other premium card held is Hilton Aspire.
All right. So long-term holder of the CSR and the Ritz-Carlton, looking for an exit strategy because you're not really happy about the $550 annual fee on the CSR, which totally makes sense because I think that is questionable value now at $550 for a lot of people. And if you're holding that and the Ritz card and the Aspire card, it does start to get a little bit expensive. So that kind of makes sense. Now, the thing that sticks out in my mind about what you said is if you're turned off by the $550 CSR annual fee and the constant Marriott devaluations leave a bad taste in your mouth, but yet you value spending $75,000 a year for platinum status. So something doesn't quite add up to me there. But you have to think here, okay, there are a lot of different things that Marriott have done that have not made me particularly happy. There have been situations, I guess, where people got bond void in one way or another that haven't been a good look for the company. But on the flip side, the benefits are nice, right? I mean, being able to check out at 4 p.m. if you have platinum status and lounge access, breakfast, et cetera, et cetera. You got to consult the chart. But at the end of the day, the devaluations are annoying, but you have to look at the card and say, well, but is the card worth it for a 50K cert? And I think that the 50K cert is good for such a number of hotels that are relatively high quality and usually pretty expensive that, whatever the devaluations are, it's still a pretty decent value. I think, you looked at the value of the 40K cert. What was the number you came up with on that? Do you remember? 50K cert. It was like just double whatever the 35K cert was, right?
Well, I think it was $300.
$300, yeah. So, and whether or not you value the 50K cert at $300, I don't know, but I certainly usually get a pretty good use out of the 50K cert. So I feel like the Ritz card, between the $300 credit and the 50K cert, I think the Ritz card is still worth it. Marriott might annoy me sometimes, but the bottom line is they're convenient. They're everywhere. There are a lot of nice 50K properties out there.
Right. So yeah, and I totally agree with you there that I think the Sapphire Reserve, you downgrade that to a Freedom, so you have no annual fee there, or if you want to preserve the ability to transfer points, maybe you downgrade that to the Sapphire Preferred, to the $95 card. But the Ritz card is a keeper for most people, especially you value the Priority Pass. It's the best Priority Pass, or equal to, if not better than, the best Priority Pass you can get with any other card, because you can add free authorized users to your Ritz card, and each one of them can get another Priority Pass. And those Priority Pass memberships allow unlimited guests into the lounge. So that alone is super valuable. And then, as Nick said, the $300 annual airfare credit, if you know how to make use of that, then you're getting that $300 value. You're getting up to $300 or around $300 value from the certificate. It's a great card, and since you already have it, and you value the ability to spend your way to platinum, that combination's great. Has great travel insurance.
Well, and I'm going to add that for next year, it might even be more worth keeping it than other years, because I've only made use of those Ritz-Carlton Club Lounge Access Awards a couple of times. But if we're right that prices for some of these fancy international destinations dip next year, then you may see good enough room rates at some Ritz-Carlton properties that it might be worth booking those cash rates and using your Club Lounge upgrade. And Ritz Club Lounges have a reputation for being pretty good. There's something you don't get an upgrade to for free. You either have to pay for it or have one of those lounge access certificates. So, so
really
you may
good point.
see some good opportunities for that.
I would love an opportunity to use mine for the first time ever. I've never, ever used it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I have not run into many of those situations either. But
all right, we're in lightning round.
Okay, lightning round.
Is Amex Platinum the best $500-ish annual fee premium card? Yes or no?
No, are you crazy? Absolutely not. No, definitely not. Which one's the best one, though?
The Hilton Aspire.
I mean, come on, right? Hands down. Like it's not even a question. The Hilton Aspire.
I think the Ritz is worth considering as an alternative
Sure.
especially because Amex has become more difficult to get those airline fee credits. All right.
Yeah. Yep.
Moving
That's
on.
it.
Question
That's it.
2. Are transferable points currencies still worth hoarding in this environment?
No. Yes. Yes. I'm hoarding them. Yes.
I agree.
We talked about this before.
Yeah, we did. We talked about it in length in a recent show. If you need the money, cash it out. Otherwise, I would keep them.
And I think availability is going to be good next year. So you want to have some points hoarded up so that you can take advantage of those opportunities.
Right. All right. Do you want to?
For the Ritz cards, the next one from Con217. For the Ritz card AUs that Greg mentioned, do they have to be in your household for the free AUs?
They do not. So I've added authorized user cards to a number of family members who don't live in my household. I thought about at one point I was going to add one to a friend who lives in South Africa because he could really use Priority Pass. But then I started worrying that Chase might look at that as suspicious and look at my account too closely and shut me down. So I decided not to push it too far.
Probably a good idea. But yeah, no, I mean, you could add anybody as an authorized user on that. I mean, which is also the case with your other Chase cards, right?
Right.
Not anything different.
With the Sapphire Reserve, though, you have to pay for each other.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Good point.
All right. Capital One will still release their rumored $500 premium card this year? So I already made my prediction at the end of last year. I predicted that would not happen. So that means that yes, they will.
Clearly, yeah. Well, Greg probably predicted that it wasn't going to happen for a totally different reason, but I think he was right, just for the wrong reasons. Whatever those, I can't remember honestly what the reasons were that he said that it wouldn't happen, but he's right.
I don't remember either.
Totally other reasons. No, I don't think anybody's going to debut an ultra premium card in this environment.
No, and Chase just came out with a new version of the high-end United card, and I know if they had planned to release it just a couple weeks later, they would have stopped it and said, we'll do this some other time.
Yeah. So no, definitely going there. Okay, question number 5 from the Hurdy-Gurdy Travel podcast. The Altitude Reserve, is it the best solo card if you had to choose just one card? Is the Altitude Reserve it?
Oh, for some people, yes, but not for me. No, I think oh boy, just one card. So I was going to say double cash because of its transferable points, but if you
just have one,
it's not. So I'm going to go with Bank of America's premium rewards as long as you've got 100K with Merrill, Edge, or Bank of America, so that you get 2.62% cash back everywhere.
All right. So since you kind of picked 2 there, I'm going to say double cash if you have a friend who has the Premier, because you can transfer points to them. But otherwise, Venture Card for me, between ability to transfer to partners with just that one card and get 2% cash back as a floor redemption value. I think Venture Card would be it. The Altitude Reserve, no, because I don't spend enough money in person. I don't spend enough money.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my issue too. Okay. Would you upgrade to the Premier now without a sign-up bonus?
Upgrade to the Premier. So you're talking from like a Rewards Plus or a Thank You Preferred?
I guess so.
I mean, if you're not eligible for the sign-up bonus, yeah, maybe. I mean, if you're not eligible for the bonus, then today'd be the day to do it. Now, I said in the post this morning, you may not get grandfathered into the old benefits if you upgrade today. Theoretically, if you get the card before tomorrow, then yes, you get the old benefits. But the thing with Citi product changes is that they're not instant. They give you the product change, but then they say it'll be like official 2 months later or something like that, right? Give you a date that in the future.
Right. So it might not actually work. Because what I was going to say is I think you could actually product change from any Citi card and it not affect your future ability to get a sign-up bonus, because thank you cards, the rules are 24 months from closing the card or from getting the sign-up bonus for the card. So by product changing in, even if it's considered a new account, I don't think it would reset the clock on your thank you bonuses. I'm
not sure. Maybe he's right.
Yet to be proven, but that's what I think is the case.
Do you want to trust Greg? That's your question. If you trust Greg, his predictions this year have been so, but usually his knowledge is top notch. So I guess that seems like a pretty good suggestion to consider there. And yeah, so if you have an American Airlines card or you have something else that you want to product change to it, you could product change from another card theoretically.
We missed one of the questions.
Oh, okay. Which one did we miss?
Favorite non-travel podcast?
Good question. I don't listen to any of them.
So that's easy for you.
Easy for me. None. Frequent Miler on the Air is my favorite.
Oh, that's my favorite too, but it's sort of travel related a little bit.
Right. I know. Yeah.
I've gotten really into, there's a podcast called The Gist, which is political commentary, and I just love it. It's fun to listen to. Also like Conan's podcast, but I think The Gist has taken over what I listen to regularly.
You know, I've listened to a few. I shouldn't say I don't ever listen. I listened to Serial when Serial was big for a couple of years. So like I've listened to some closed loop sort of ones like that, but I don't listen to any ongoing ones. And even then, it's only been a couple of other podcasts. So yeah, I don't have very much to add there, but listen to Greg's. Greg's got some good suggestions, I'm sure. But, there's another one here. So Larry asks, would you gamble that they will extend NQDs and fly Delta or go with the cheapest flights available this year if you already have 2021 Delta status? And I think that is somewhat a relevant question to other airlines too, right? So if you already got your status locked up for 2021 because they're extending it, whether that's with United or Delta, are you going to still pay to fly with that airline this year when travel resumes to normal?
Yeah, well, and there's a specific Delta thing here, and that so Delta rolls over MQMs, which is the elite qualifying miles, but they don't usually roll over the elite qualifying dollars, the MQDs. But everyone's wondering, are they going to? Was it a mistake that they didn't announce that they were going to do that? Because it seems like they should. And so that's why you're saying it's a gamble to not do that. Personally, because I generate my Delta Diamond status each year with spend, I don't worry about whether a flight is earning MQMs or MQDs. I never worry about that at all. It's very freeing not to have to worry about that. And so I fly on whatever is best. Now, Delta is usually best for me for a few reasons, because fly out of a hub and they have all the direct flights. And because of my status, I'm more likely to get upgraded to first and get, just treated better in general. So I'll still probably be flying Delta for those reasons.
Very good. And I'll have my United Silver status for next year again, thanks to Marriott Titanium, which will be nice. But I don't necessarily. I kind of just pick the cheapest or most convenient flights most of the time. I don't know. We'll see. I don't fly that many paid flights. It's usually award flights for me. So all right. So that was that. Was there another one?
Yes. Hurdy-gurdy Travel Podcast says, you missed my UBS question.
Oh.
Is it easy to get? What's required? I don't know. Well, let me say, no, we know it's not easy to get because you have to fill out a paper application that they mail to you. That sounds like a pain in the ass. I don't know anything about how hard they are on approvals.
I don't either. I haven't read anything about them.
Yeah.
Apart from what you wrote and a little bit over at Dr. Credit. I haven't dug deep into those. So.
Right. From what I read, they used to only allow signups for people that are already customers, but they changed that. But beyond that, I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Jerry H says, do you watch air disasters on Smithsonian Channel?
I watch no TV. I can't remember I've watched a couple of episodes of The Masked Singer this year. That's about it. So and when I say a couple, 2 or 3. I don't really watch very much TV. The news, I'll catch the news every now and then too. So what about you?
I don't know that show.
Sorry, Jerry. Sorry. I'm sure it's interesting. All right, so let's see.
I think that's it.
That was it. Okay.
5:00 Eastern. Time for us to say goodbye.
It is. Well, if you just kind of somehow stumbled on this, go to thefrequentmiler.com/subscribe to subscribe. And also, please click the subscribe button here on YouTube to subscribe and get notified. Turn on those notifications so you get notified when we go live again next time.
All right. Bye, everyone.